it was more of a leadership role and troop advising the sergeant major, because I was acting as the ground force commander for every op. So I started learning a lot about processes. Like before I was just a nug assaulter. I was called a ghost assaulter, just there doing my little narrow piece of the pie. Now I had to step back and get the big picture. I had to control air assets. I had to flex to different targets. I had to strategize on the fly with my troop sergeant major deploying his troops. And we had a whole bunch of incidents like where, me and the EOD guy, the Navy EOD guy, are hitting targets by ourselves because they're hitting a building. We get intel. I don't have enough time to flex that whole troop. We have to do it. So we go inside of houses by ourselves. And it was fun, man. We had a blast. It was cool because we had the leash off. And even though it wasn't as active, I remember we got intel from a soccer field that they had a couple handsets that correlated to the soccer field. And I was like, all right, we got to get to the soccer field. So I said, hey guys, we're going to move to the soccer field. So we started walking. I'm like, I need you guys to move out. And they wouldn't move out. I grabbed the EOD guy. We sprinted to the soccer field. As we ran around the block, we were an ambient street light. The group of guys were meeting, and they were in the middle of the soccer field, the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. They see us, and we're sprinting across an open field trying to shoot like 10 dudes who move in 10 different directions, and we miss everybody. And when we get back, everybody in the jock and the talk is laughing because they're like, dude, that was the best shit we've ever seen. Because we saw you guys break contact from the main element, and you're like, screw it. And you start sprinting, but they all went 10 different directions. So we couldn't track any of them. And we're running and shooting, and we're standing there in the field like, damn it. That was our opportunity. It was good times, man.
Wrap up that deployment. Then what's next?
So I get back, and I go to CAG. And I'm in CAG in a technical reconnaissance role. And I go back to Iraq and to Balad. And I run... Because of my reconnaissance background is how I got recruited in. I run a joint interagency task force of interagency organizations with JSOC to do reconnaissance over the entire country of Iraq. I was undercover as a lieutenant colonel, so I was an OIC, young OIC. Nobody believed it, but put in that position to see to and control all the things that were going on for reconnaissance assets in the country. Now in Balad at that time period, because everything was downsizing, including the base of Balad.
So what year is this now?
2009.
Yeah, so stuff's really slowing down.
Really slowing down. In fact, the reason they brought me in is because reconnaissance is obviously another way we get involved without involving packs on the ground, people on the ground. So we still had to have eyes on, but we had to use technical means of reconnaissance, and that just depend on dudes and hide sites. In fact, during that time period, there was a restriction of 1 or 2 Americans per target, and you had to stay in containment. So if you're moving to a bad guy place, you leave behind the Americans. They'd stay on containment with the vehicles. Indigenous force would hit the objective, come back, and then you'd roll out. And so at that time, working in the Joint Interagency, I didn't feel like I was missing out on much. I felt like I had a broader role to fill in that capacity.
And you're just overseeing all this reconnaissance elements? That's what you're saying?
All of it. I had daily VTCs with SEAL Team Command, NAVSOF, mostly, which was the main effort, by the way. There wasn't a lot of SF guys in the country at that time. So I had daily VTCs with the Navy and supported their operations and technical reconnaissance means. Tagging, tracking, locating, all the sexy stuff for technical recon for the entire country.
And that was based on the fact that you had sniper experience.
Yeah, I got recruited.
Recon experience or whatever.
Yeah, I got recruited. I went to selection. I was successful, and then my background, my entire life, my background in special operations was mapped for that field of expertise. In the transition, coming back from 08 to 09, I went to JSOC's technical reconnaissance course, which was like 6 months, a pretty intense course, and learned a whole new world of operations that I didn't even know existed. I knew a little bit, but when I went to that course, I was like, whoa, now this is some cool shit. So I did that for task force for JSOC for my 09 rotation.
And then what happened after that?
Got back and then got with another squadron, and at that time we hadn't been in Iraq. since we killed Zarqawi. The task force hasn't been in Iraq really since, intermittently. We owned Iraq. But Afghanistan, we completely gave up. So our eye wasn't on the ball in Afghanistan because we were too busy in Iraq. And then all of a sudden, we had a change of heart. Look, Al-Qaeda was on the run. We didn't even know this thing called ISIS existed. And we decided to do a surge as an organization to Afghanistan. And I was on the first thing smoking. So my first real good deployment with that organization, with a special missions unit, was in Afghanistan. And when we got there, the Rangers on the battle space, Colonel Kurilla was in charge, and we were the redheaded stepchildren. And I was like, what? How is an SMU the stepchildren? Like, when I got there, I was taking showers with bottles of water in an open field. And I'm like, this is the premier CT unit on the planet, and I'm doing this. And they're like, dude, we're building everything from scratch. So we set up shop there and started targeting bad guys. And the first 2 months was prep, and then the second 2 months was killing bad guys. And we did a lot of it. That second 60 days of that 4-month rotation, I saw more bad guys killed in a 2-month period than anything that I experienced before. And it was because of the assets that we brought to bear. Good rotation though.
And you were still overseeing Recce at this point?
Yeah, I was that squadron's reconnaissance NCO, which just specialized in recon. So everything from OPs to technical Recce to interagency, like even controlling aircraft for ISR. And it was an active trip. I mean, we lost a dog. We had guys shot. We had guys blown up. A lot of active operations during that period of time. It was amazing to see the talent, and you can't really get an idea or understanding of that talent and capability when you focus on individuals. But when you see it come together in a single combat operation where everybody's so efficient and effective, you really see the benefit of the selection process, the training process, and the support mechanisms that make that unit the most elite unit in the world.
Yeah, you hear like the sports analogies of like, well, it's like a professional sports team, but these are like the champions, right? These are the NFL freaking Super Bowl winners that, you see the Super Bowl guy that like, whatever, gets his right arm massaged so that he can whatever, and this other guy's doing speed drills with the first 4 meters of his sprint, and he's going to work with a specialist that's going to get him even a little bit 1 millisecond faster, and then they're getting their helmets dialed in so that they can have comms in there, and they got all like this 100% pure focus for every individual to be as good as they possibly can. And then you put that team together, and every one of those individuals is 100% focused on being as good as they possibly can with all the support they could possibly want. And this is what you end up with. Just freaking the best.
Yeah, it's the big leagues for sure. And what I realized in that unit, even being a very competent shooter, respected member of Special Forces, and being a PT stud at the time, that there was men above me and beyond me that I'd never catch up with, that were just so talented. And I was like, it was humbling. And I'm like, well, I'm not the most elite dude. I thought I was. I woke up and went, dude, I'm crushing it. And then I see the talent pool over there and realized there's this thing, this machine. And like you said before, these guys aren't trained to be diplomats, to be fit experts. They're trained to kill bad guys. And they're the best at it. I mean, the Navy version and the Army version, they're the best at it in the world. And it was a humbling and honorable experience of being part of that.